Okay, so today I'm going to talk about the new ChatBox, and there is a pre-built example scene, and let's go ahead and have a look at that. The ChatBox is available as part of the UI package or the full suite if you've purchased that. So if we look under UI here, we go to scenes, and let's open up this main scene. So this main scene, you'll see you're immediately presented with this basic chat box here. And there's a lot of features in here, so I'm going to go ahead and go over that. So let's go ahead and click play and start server and client. Now, before I even do that, let's click here at this chat box. You'll see it says enable on connect, so it's not enabled right now. So I'm gonna say start server, and then when the server is done, I'm going to connect it as a client. And as soon as I'm connected as a client, this chat box will enable. So you'll see that. And you'll see that immediately there are two channels. There's World Chat 1 and World Chat 2. So if I click on World Chat 1, you'll see that it changed to World Chat 1 with the channel ID displayed here. So you'll see that that can change there. And those channels are over here under Create Channels. So these Create Channels here are always going to be worldwide chat channels. You cannot leave these channels. So if I turn on verbose logging here, come over to here and switch over to channel 2, you'll see I am now active on channel 1. I purged all messages and I'm creating new ones. So let's try to leave. So if I say leave, yes, you'll see nothing happen because the client requested a channel they're not allowed to leave. So when you create these channels, no one is ever allowed to leave those channels. So let's create a channel I can leave. So here I can say, let's create a new channel and let's call it test, create, and we'll see a whole bunch of stuff happened here. But basically what happened is me as the client sent a request to the server to say, hey, I want to create a channel called test. The server generated this channel ID and generated the channel and responded back a success to me, and I generated this button. And then I immediately switched my active channel to that new channel name. So now if I say hello, you'll see that I sent that here, and here is my randomly generated name. One thing I added as part of this release is that in the chat box, you can say random player name, and I ticked that as true. And since I didn't assign a player name to it, and this is ticked, it just randomly picked a name, and so that is me. So I can, do whatever I want. And the great thing about this is a resizable text box here. And so this will resize to the size of the message. And I can switch to another channel here, and you'll see that messages are dependent upon the channel that you are in. And since I created this new private channel here, the only way I can have other people join that channel is if I invite them to that channel. So let's go ahead and build this, and then I'll run it and we can see it in real time. And you'll see that I added this chat box sample to scene 0. Here's some of the other scenes. These aren't needed. I did this as part of other testing, but it needs to be at channel 0 because of the network manager. The network manager must always exist at index 0. So let's go ahead and build and run it. Okay, so with that running, let's go ahead and start this. And I'm going to start the server and the client here. So we got that one, and then we are going to join the server. And we see that Nigel has now joined, and there are 2 members in here. So Nigel can say hello, and we see that show up. And I can do whatever I want over here and see that over here. And you'll see that it's dependent upon the channel. So I could say new channel, and we see that shows up over here. So the messages are dependent upon the channel. So let's go ahead and see this in real time. So I can say new channel, test, create it, and you'll see that because the channel is only created for the individual asking it. So now I want to invite Xena Uncle to this new channel. So I'm going to say invite, and there she is. So I'm going to click that, and I select everybody I want, and of course I can filter the names to help me more easily do that. I'm going to send the invite, and then the server invited the clients to the channel, so I can view my invites over here, and I see I have a current invite to the test channel. So before I join that, you'll see that it's persistent messages. So there are messages here. So if I do that, you'll see that messages immediately appear, and I see that here. And so we can see that we got those channels there. So now I don't want to be a member of this channel anymore. So let's say leave channel. And actually, you know what? I want to do it over here so you can see it in real time. Let's say leave channel. Yes. And we'll see that I now have left that channel. And now there's only one member of that channel. Now, one important thing to note is that a lot of backend logic is taken care of for you already here, and that I can leave this channel, and as soon as I leave this channel, the server will basically blow away that channel because no more members are in that channel anymore. So the server will maintain the list of available channels for you. So we went over the invite, the view invites, the channel, the leave channel, and all the available, and how we can search here by particular names to only have those names show up. There's a lot of things that you can use to tie into this, so let's dive into that a little bit more. So the chat box, if you want to see what's going on, there is the verbose logging here. I don't have a send button, so I'm just using the enter key for this. Be sure to fill out all of these things. Everything in here is required. The create channels is not required, but it's probably a good idea to have at least one channel everybody can communicate on. If you don't want that and you only want private channels, then just set the create channels to 0. So this is a pre-built chat box for you. There's a lot of things in here. So let's actually have a look at the documentation. So I'm going to open up the documentation website here. And it is UI docs. And in here, there's a chat box section. So this chat box section kind of gives you an overview of what we just talked about. But there's also this UI components here. So this UI components, these are all other individual components that you can basically build out your own UI that you want to use, essentially. So like this active channel ID, this will modify a text to always display the channel ID, things like that. So for example, this channel ID right here will be modified. So let's have a look at that. Let's go to the inner background, channel ID, text. And you'll see that there's this component right here. So this UI prefab right here takes advantage of all of these individual components, as well as all of these delegates functions. It makes use of these channels and messages logic. It does all of it for you. So this prefab is completely built in a way that you should be able to go back and compare. And you can even copy this prefab and modify it so that you can do additional things that you want. So for example, one thing that is not in here is basically profanity filtering. So if I wanted to do profanity filtering needs to happen on the server side. So let's go ahead and have a look at the functions here, and we can hop down here to server functions. And one thing here is the server will receive a message called client chat message. And so basically you can override this client chat message to basically add additional functionality that you want, for example, profanity filtering. So you can have a look at all of these client and server based functions. Everything in here is completely overridable so that you can actually, in this chat box component, you can override this component with your own custom component to do additional features that you may want in your game. So there's also these available delegates. So delegates are a way for you to write your own custom component and tie into events that are happening on the chat box. So all of these UI components take advantage of these available delegates and do additional actions. So here's all the available delegates, and then I give you an example of how you might be able to, in your own custom component, tie into these available delegates. And then of course, if you wanted to learn how to do some of these actions that is happening on the UI, I have full documentation on how to, join channel, invite, leave, view channel invites, create a channel, all of that fun stuff. And then even when it comes to messages, how to get the history for channels, how to receive a message, how to send a message. So, and I give examples for all of these, so feel free to review the documentation. If you need additional help, always come back and ask for help on the EMI support channel on Discord.